Well, good Thursday evening, Southeast Texas. A beautiful evening across the area, and hopefully we can find enough weather stuff to talk about for 15 minutes because it is really quiet. I mean, talking about a beautiful weather pattern, not only now, but for the next 7-8 days away. Of course, the latest cold front worked through the area late last night, throughout the day this morning, and it's a fairly weak front. It's still early fall, so sometimes it takes several hours for the true dry air to work into the area. But our roofing 911 sky cam over in Lake Charles, well, what a beautiful Thursday evening. And up in Jasper, sponsored by Provalis, our roofing 911 camera there, well, just as nice. Mostly clear skies. Been a very nice day. Of course, we started out this morning rain free pretty much. There were some thunderstorms from Port Arthur southward, but 90% of the area didn't see a drop of rain this morning as expected, as that front slowly worked on down to the south. So, and we started out this morning in the lakes area in the same, but it's still pretty warm this morning, even though the front had done come through. It was fairly mild this morning. We warmed up with some drier air this afternoon into the mid to upper 80s, but beginning tonight, it'll be really nice. We're expecting lows up in the lakes to be in the low to mid 60s. Very comfortable. You will start noticing it when you wake up tomorrow morning. Our roofing 911 sky cam network over in Orange, sponsored by the Horseman's Western Store. Look at that, not a cloud to be found over in Orange this evening. And we started out this morning in the mid 70s, low to mid 70s, warmed up this afternoon to mid to upper 80s. Tonight we're looking at mid to upper 60s in the triangle, low to mid as we set up in the lakes area, and certainly no rain in the forecast. None of that to talk about, that's for sure. But very, very nice out there this evening. And it's not only today and tonight, but we're talking tomorrow, the weekend. We're talking most of next week. Looks beautiful. And a few clouds showing up on our roofing 911 Skycam network, one of our cameras here in Beaumont, sponsored by Packer and LaPrey. Some stratocumulus clouds off in the distance. Certainly no rain expected tonight, that's for sure. Now we will see a few clouds though tomorrow. With, we get the heating, there are going to be a few clouds developing. There's still some low level moisture there in place. In daytime, there'll be some fair weather cumulus clouds develop tomorrow, but still the main weather story is going to be lots of sunshine, low humidity. And our other camera here in Beaumont, outside our 12 studios, sponsored by Mid-County Plumbing. What a beautiful evening. Lots of clear skies, drier air working in as we speak, and that will allow those temperatures to drop on down into the 60s coming up for your Friday morning. So you'll notice it tomorrow morning. It'll be very, very nice across the area, that's for sure. And then we'll warm up again tomorrow afternoon into the mid 80s. Very, very nice. That's better in the mid 90s, that's for sure. But a strange weather pattern this year, that's for sure. But no complaints because it's kept all the tropical weather away from us. Of course, Southwest Louisiana, you're in great shape too. Lots of clear skies over in Lake Charles. You got up into the mid 80s this afternoon. You'll drop on down tonight into the mid to upper 60s as well. Let's take a look at those weather headlines. Cooler temperatures beginning tonight. There's some cool nights and mornings coming up with low humidity the next several days, and no rain between now through all of next week. How long have we've had a couple of stretches here and there. We've hit 7-8 days without any rain, but it'll be a pretty good stretch with no rain. I know there were some folks in the northern part of the lakes area that watch us and were talking about, gosh, we needed more rain. We didn't get enough. There were some parts of the lakes area, believe it or not, that didn't get enough rain. They're still pretty dry, and unfortunately, next 7 to 10 days looks pretty dry because of the dry air we have in place. Don't forget you can text us at 409-749-9302 with your weather questions, and of course we'll get back with you on those soon as we can. But boy, I tell you, beautiful weather coming up, that's for sure. Skies are mostly clear. We showed you that on our cameras. 86 Orange, Port Arthur, 84 Silsbee and Jasper. So it's on average, we're running in the mid to upper 80s across the area. It's not too hot, that's for sure. It's warm, but it's not hot. And we're going to see 80s the next several days. But what's going to make it feel nice, though, is the lower humidity we've been talking about coming in on those light to moderate northerly winds. Houston, you were a little warmer today. You were up around 90, 91 out to our west. But even the Houston area, it's going to be comfortable out there as well too, coming up over the course of the next several days. Very, very nice. Now, rest of the state, the dry air has begun to work in. Still warm, 87 Waco, 83 Dallas, 85 Wichita Falls. Amarillo's work's really been nice. They were in the upper 60s yesterday. They're in the upper 70s today, but that's still very, very nice. Even for the Panhandle, 83 off to our east in Alexandria. Notice out in your typical spots in the hill country, South Texas, San Antonio, 90. Austin's at 90 degrees, 93 Del Rio. Not too bad in far western Texas. Some lower 80s out there, 81 Midland, 85 in Pecos. But temperatures actually, most of the state, fairly close to normal. In fact, we'll be a little bit below normal coming up over the next few days with that drier air in place. Notice where the front is. It's well to our east. It's over around Pensacola, so it just takes a while for the cooler and drier air to work in. But you'll start noticing it tonight, especially when you wake up in the morning. Weak high pressure at the surface building into western Texas. There are some high clouds there west of El Paso back down into Mexico. But boy, I tell you, with the pattern we've got coming up for the next week, week and a half, there's just not going to be any rain here. The main reason being is the dry air working in from the north. The upper air pattern will have a ridge of high pressure to our west and northwest. Going to be fantastic weather-wise coming up over the next several days for sure. You can still see a few showers behind our front, well offshore in the Gulf of Mexico. Remember yesterday, the area in green here was still back over East Texas. Look where it's at now. That's shifted southward into the Gulf. The moisture getting shunted to the south as that drier air takes over across all of Texas coming up over the next couple of days. And you go north of this white line here. It's that white line moving south. Of course, this area here is drier air. Beyond that's even drier air. It's going to filter in beginning tomorrow into Saturday as well. Just going to make for a beautiful, beautiful weekend forecast, that's for sure. Notice the Panhandle, lots of clear skies. Of course, very low humidity in the Texas Panhandle, portions of New Mexico. Very, very nice there. Of course, all the rain and thunderstorms have shifted to the east with our front. You can see it now raining just south of Biloxi over toward Pensacola. That's the front. So eventually, even the Florida Panhandle, you'll cool off a little bit over the course of the next couple of days. But very, very nice, that's for sure. All right, zooming in. Now, this is atmospheric moisture overall through the atmosphere, and it's already dried out quite a bit. Anything under about 1.4, you start drying pretty good, down to 1.34. But look how low these numbers get over the course of the next couple of days. Look at that. Under an inch. That's true fall air there. That is very, very dry air all across Louisiana and southeast Texas coming up. So it's just going to be very pleasant, very nice with this dry air in place. That will allow temperatures, as we said, to drop on down into the 60s at night. Not tonight, but tomorrow night there'll be some 50s up in the lakes area. Probably for 2 or 3 mornings at least in a row. Some mid to upper 50s there in the lakes area. Now this is what's nice here. Now, as we said before, you'll start noticing the difference tonight in the temperatures across southeast Texas and the lakes area. Mid 60s to upper 60s tonight. Low to mid 60s tomorrow night. But look at Saturday night, Sunday morning. Sunday morning, 7 a.m., low 60s triangle, 50s up in the lakes. Now that's nice. Remember the front we had a couple of weeks ago? This one's very similar. We had 2 or 3 nights where it was in the upper 50s in the lakes, even a few mid 50s up near Burkeville, and we had the low 60s in the triangle. This front's about the same. Wouldn't you remember how nice that was? But this is going to be kind of an extended period of nice fall-like weather. Not just 2 or 3 days. This is going to last through much of next week. Lows will be this nice and highs will be in the 80s with that lower humidity. That's what's nice about that. All right, tropics. Nothing to worry about in the Gulf. There's the front moving offshore. Of course, we are in the Northwest Gulf. I think our season's over here, and that's great news for us. Now, there still could be a tropical system before the season's over in the Eastern Gulf, maybe Southeastern Gulf, or the Bay of Campeche, but up here, I believe we're done. So that's great news. Got through another season anyway here. Let's go out to the Atlantic. Of course, we have Humberto. Kind of zoom out a little bit, you can see Humberto there. Forecasted to become a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. This will not affect the United States at all, so that's great news there. Got that system out of the way for the East Coast. This next disturbance, which is getting better organized south of Haiti, has a pretty good chance of developing over the next few days. In fact, a 90% chance of development over, let's say, the next week or so. If this system develops, it will be Amelia. Boy, that name rings a bell too, doesn't it? This one could impact, possibly, it's still early in the game, this could get close to the Carolinas by the middle of next week. So mid-Atlantic seaboard, South Carolina, North Carolina, all up into Virginia. I have to watch that one. Could be a threat to the East Coast coming up by Tuesday of next week for those folks. But as I said before, the Gulf, nothing to worry about. Futurecast overnight tonight. Boy, this is nice. Look at these temperatures dropping on down when you wake up tomorrow morning. Upper 50s to low 60s lakes. Low to mid 60s in the Triangle. Probably 64, 65. Of course, down toward Port Arthur, Sabine Pass, be a little bit warmer, but you'll even feel it down there, especially with the lower humidity, that's for sure. Even on the coastline, you're talking mid to upper 60s coming up. You wake up tomorrow morning. Throughout the morning into the afternoon tomorrow, nice day, mostly sunny, light northerly winds. And even at 3 p.m. tomorrow, low to mid 80s, that's not bad. That's about 4 or 5 degrees below normal for high temperatures. That's 4 or 5 degrees below normal for tomorrow afternoon. We head into tomorrow evening, mid 70s. All right, let's take a look at that marine forecast. Seas are going to be pretty light. Not a lot of wind out there out of the north. North winds around 10 knots. Seas around 2 feet. That water temperature 87 degrees. And next high tide will be at 4:16 coming up in the morning and at 12:22 Sunday morning. If you're interested in the tides for fishing. All right, tonight mostly clear. Well, it's going to be a nice evening, that's for sure. Low to mid 60s when you wake up in the morning for the lakes. Mid 60s in the Triangle. 64, 65, very nice under those mostly clear skies. And for tomorrow, Friday, mostly sunny, certainly no rain expected. Mid 80s across the board. Lakes area, mid 80s. Inland, southeast Texas, middle 80s in the Triangle, mid 80s. Very, very nice coming up for tomorrow afternoon, that's for sure. Now remember, tomorrow night, temperatures will be a degree cooler or so. 65 tonight, 64 tomorrow night. Now this is for Interstate 10, the Triangle, Beaumont. So that means some upper 50s, especially by Sunday and Monday morning, that's for sure. Low 60s, highs in the 80s, low humidity. And notice, no rain at all. No rain at all the next 7 days. Remember, we talked about all that dry air coming in from the north over the next several days. So mid 80s, it's going to be warm in the afternoon. Don't let that forecast discourage you here, but the humidity is going to be really low. Okay. 64 tomorrow night.